Big shakeup at Penske. Will it affect Austin Cindric on the Cup Series side? And we've got our Hall of Fame class for next year, so let's talk about it coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. All right, first things first, big news from Penske on the IndyCar side. Let's read the statement that they released earlier today. Team Penske announced today the departures of IndyCar team president Tim Cindric, IndyCar managing director Ron Ruzicki, I don't know how to say that name, sorry, and IndyCar general manager Kyle Meyer from the organization. Team Penske will have further announcements this week related to personnel and replacements for this weekend's Indianapolis 500. So there you go. Roger Penske takes the integrity of the IndyCar series and especially the integrity of the Indy 500 very serious. So from that perspective, it is not a huge shock, and it is part of the reason that it is so hard. I know a lot of people want that job to be the president of the IndyCar side over there, but it is such a fine line. He doesn't want you to cheat, but he also doesn't want you to lose Indy 500s either. It is a very fine line to walk. A lot of people line up to get that job, but it is a high-pressure situation to be over in there. And of course, the man running that organization was Tim Cindric. Tim Cindric, who, if you're not familiar with, has been with Penske, Team Penske, since 1999. He moved over to the president role of the entire racing operation in 2006. And in his time there, he has 6 Xfinity Series titles on the NASCAR side, because part of that job, of course, was to run the NASCAR side. He also has 4 championships in the Cup Series side. And of course, one of those championships on the Xfinity Series side was with his son, Austin Cindric, who also won the 2021 Daytona 500. Now, earlier this year, Tim Cindric did step down as president of running all of Penske, but he did stay on to work on the IndyCar side of things on that operation, and he stayed on also as team strategist for Joseph Newgarden, one of the 2 cars that were penalized that led to the departure of all of those people mentioned earlier in that statement from Penske. Now, I can't talk to the IndyCar side of it, but I can talk to how this could possibly affect the NASCAR side of it, because as soon as this news broke, everybody was talking about Austin Cindric. And there's basically 2 schools of thought. The big thing that everybody's talking about is Austin Cindric on the hot seat? Is he going to be replaced? Is this going to be something that makes him lose that number 2 ride? And they've thrown out all kinds of names. Is Josh Berry going to slide in there and replace him if he gets moved on because his dad no longer is running Penske, at least on, even though his dad was really no longer running Penske anyway, at least on the Cup side, but he was still over there on the IndyCar side. But people have thrown out names like Josh Berry. If you want to look deeper in the Ford pipeline, you know, Josh Berry would move up there. Do they move somebody like a Layne Riggs up to the 21 if Josh Berry Josh Berry went and filled in that number 2 seat? So a lot of speculation as far as that goes, and all kinds of rumors as to who could go over there. Will Ford, go and steal somebody like a Corey Heim from the Toyota development pipeline? I don't know if any of that is going to happen, but there has certainly been a lot of rumor and talk about, is this going to affect Austin Cindric? And my honest to God answer to that is, I don't know, but all I can tell you is Austin Cindric's statistics the last 2 years have been very good. And if you look at his overall career, it has been pretty good. And so let me just say why I personally don't think that Austin Cindric is going to get replaced just because his father was let go by Roger Penske, who doesn't play around with these type of things. But let's take a look at Austin Cindric's career and why I think he is going to stay in that number 2 car next season. First off, when he went to Xfinity, it took him a little while to get it under control, to sort of figure out that car over there. But once he did, he became the 2020 champion in that series. He followed that up the next season by going to Daytona in 2021 in the Cup Series and winning the Daytona 500. And of course, by default, because he locked himself into the playoffs, he also won the Rookie of the Year. Then after sort of getting his feet underneath of him, his last few seasons have been good. He has got 3 wins overall in the Cup Series. Last season, he finished 11th in points with a strong finish to his season. And this year, he is already 13th in points. But without a doubt, his last season or 2 seasons here at Penske have been his strongest. So, like I said, in the Xfinity Series, it took him a while to figure it out, and it looks like the same thing is happening over here on the Cup Series. The more comfortable he gets with the car, the more and more you see the talent and ability coming out from the driver of that number 2 car. So I don't think necessarily just because his dad was let go on one side of the Penske food chain that this is somehow going to affect Austin Cindric, but certainly a lot of speculation is out there as to whether or not he is going to get replaced or not. But if you're just looking at the numbers, if you're looking at his improvement since he's got to Penske, you can see marked improvement in the number 2 car. Do they think that there's another driver out there that is better than him that they can actually get? That remains the question, but from a performance standpoint, Austin Cindric has performed the last 2 years, in my opinion. And my former teachers are going crazy right now because when they said you're making an argument, when you say in your opinion, it always weakens your argument, but I don't care. In my opinion. So that was the big news story today, but the story yesterday was, of course, the Hall of Fame class was announced, and on that list, the first driver there, Kurt Busch, voted into the Hall of Fame, a former champion of the series, 34 wins overall. So obviously in his first attempt to get into the Hall of Fame, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Also on that list is a guy that people had wanted to see in the Hall of Fame for a long period of time. Handsome Harry Gant, of course, is from Taylorsville, North Carolina, is now in the Hall of Fame. He won 4 races in a row in his 50s. I think he was 51 when he did that. So just the ageless wonder finally gets into the Hall of Fame. A lot of people have been clamoring for him to be in the Hall of Fame for a long period of time. Another guy that people have wanted in the Hall of Fame for a long period of time, at least around here, South Boston, Orange County, those areas that I work at, Ace Speedway, a lot of people have been talking for a long time about Ray Hendrick getting into the Hall of Fame. Mr. Modified, over 700 wins in his career, so he is he's one of the 75 greatest drivers of all time. NASCAR named him that when they were doing their 75th anniversary celebration. He is now in the Hall of Fame as well, and of course the famous Flamin' number 11 is what he's associated with. You've seen Denny Hamlin throwback to that scheme quite often, a legend in the Virginia, North Carolina area on the local short track scene in that time period, so good to see him in the Hall of Fame. But another guy who it's really good to see in the Hall of Fame is Humpy Wheeler. Humpy Wheeler gets in there on his contributions to motorsports, that slot that they give for those guys to get in there. So really great for Humpy Wheeler to get in there, because back when Humpy Wheeler was running Charlotte Motor Speedway, every single race at Charlotte Motor Speedway was an absolute event to go to. There was always something different and something special at those races when he was running it, and I always looked forward to going to Charlotte. Ironically, Charlotte is this weekend, so it's really cool that he got it voted in here. But great to see all those guys voted in, and obviously the guys that didn't get voted in, you can make arguments and stuff that hopefully they get in on their next try, but these are the guys that got in. I think they're all deserving, and I just want to keep it positive, so we're not going to talk about who got left out and stuff like that, at least on this video. One final note before we sign off here, on May 23rd at 2 p.m., Oscar Mayer is doing a really cool deal where they're running 6 Weinermobiles that have regional variations of hot dogs on the side of them, and it will be streamed on all of IndyCar's social media platforms, or you can watch it on the Fox Sports app. So check that one out. Should be really fun, really cool event. Shout out to their marketing team for doing that, and they're doing this to celebrate them being the official hot dog of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Indy 500. So that is going to be a really fun thing to keep up with and watch. Friday, 2 p.m. is when the coverage starts, May 23rd. So check it out. And that's all I got for you on this one. Until the next one, y'all take them easy, and peace.